A lot of people in the side hustling space eventually hear about affiliate marketing, but did you know that affiliate marketing can turn into a seven-figure business, bringing you all of that revenue? If you like the idea of making seven figures by promoting other people's products, services, and software, you're going to love this session. I'm Marc Guberti. I help people who want to gain more visibility and revenue, and we have a really awesome expert who's going to join us. He is a pro at creating custom marketing roadmaps that skyrocket client sales results. He's also the guy behind Evergreen Profits, where he teams up with Matt Wolf to help people accelerate their businesses. Anyone who knows this guy knows it's going to be an epic session. We are joined by none other than Joe Fier. Joe, welcome to the summit.
How you doing, Mark? Thanks for having me, man.
Joe, it's a pleasure to have you on Side Hustle Paradise. And I've seen you and Matt over at Evergreen Profits just keep on accelerating, just keep on making that affiliate income. And for people who are a little new to the idea of seven-figure affiliate marketing, how do you get to that level?
It takes time. At least it did for us, and it probably doesn't do that for, it's probably not like that for everyone. But with Matt and I, we've been at this for over 13 years. And throughout that time, we've been just obsessed with content and, creating content, giving that content freely away in a lot of different ways. And then essentially using that content to create a nice following that trusts us. And, within that content, we're educating, we're building trust, and then we put offers in there. So it's been like a lot of little things incrementally over time that have just compounded into a solid seven-figure affiliate side of our business. It's not our entire business, but it's definitely a good chunk of it. And we're just building upon that.
So the emphasis is you got to keep on creating content, and there's a lot of different directions you could go, from product reviews to just getting people on your email lists. How much content are you guys putting out to ensure you're showing up enough for your audience while having that discoverability?
Yeah, no, it's a good question, because we crank out a lot of content and we put a lot of effort into that. I wouldn't say it's required to always, put so much out there. That's just kind of what we love to do. Of course, there's a lot of, different things that you can do, like ads and repurposing and all that, to kind of make it more evergreen and extend your efforts. We could chat about that potentially. But the way that we put out content now, we put out 2 podcasts every week, and they're at least of our core show, Hustle and Flowchart. And those are an hour-long interviews. After that, we actually have a repurposed show called Hustle and Flowchart that's 5 days a week, and that's completely just like bite-sized chunks of the long show. So it looks like we're making a lot more content on our team and, processes. We do live streams. We're doing one of those like big kind of live streams on Facebook primarily about once a month or so. And, we put out articles here and there. We email every single day. That's Matt's kind of role there. And, we show up on cool summits like this, and we go on podcasts probably twice per week individually. So we have a lot going on, but, we kind of systemize everything we do.
And that's a really great point. You've got a lot of different things going on. I do feel like people who are crushing it with a content brand, they have a lot of things going on. They've heard about how important it is to blog, YouTube, podcast, Instagram, pictures, social media. They've heard about all these different places and why they're all so important. They grab attention. If you had to pick 3 areas to focus on the most, what would those be?
Yeah, I like that. So ironically, we've kind of lumped up everything that we think makes a brand, trustworthy, and you can gather in people that actually will take action, listen to you, and not all the other noise out there. And then obviously pay you. So there's kind of like 3 phases, and we call it our BAM method. Now we finally put like an acronym to it. So it's build, it's the authority in the middle. So you're kind of building this platform more or less. So choosing what is the content type that really resonates with you. Sometimes it's writing, it could be video, it could be audio. So figuring out how to build your content kind of platform, your foundation. Then you want to build the authority. So that really comes in with, there's a lot of ways to leverage authority like you're doing here, bringing in other experts. We do that on our podcast every single time, every day. And I'm constantly, interacting with other people to try to get on their platforms, vice versa. So building authority is key, and then you want to monetize. And for us, we choose affiliate marketing for our probably it's about 70% or so of our income, sometimes less, sometimes more. But yeah, we choose that to be the thing that monetizes our platform. We call it our platform. It's not like a piece of software or anything. We say platform. It's basically like a community, email, retargeting, podcasts, things like that. But they're all kind of connected together. So I'd say the three things are, yeah, build your authority as well. So build your content, build your authority, and then actually figure out how to monetize that. And essentially rinse and repeat, keep doing that mix.
And it's a very simple breakdown. There's a lot of different ways to do all three of those different things. You have to find the things that work best for you. Joe's case, affiliate marketing works really well for him, makes 70% of his revenue, as you mentioned earlier. With the affiliate marketing, I know you mentioned the ads, and I know you have such a deep approach to advertising that I feel like people should know. So I wonder if you could go into that a little bit for us.
I could go into it a bit. Unfortunately, it's Matt that knows all the little micro details and stuff. But our strategies, I'll just kind of lay out what we do with ads and kind of what we see most effective. So right now, for one, in this time, if you're watching around, April-ish of 2020, ads are very cheap. And there's a lot of opportunity to grow your brand and grow a connection with people that didn't know you before. And you can really leverage other people's brands, like target people on Facebook. We do that all the time with dollar a day style ads that's taught by a guy named Dennis Yu, a buddy of ours. So it's a very effective strategy, a dollar a day strategy on Facebook. It's essentially targeting someone else's audience and perpetually showing a piece of content that is related to that audience. In our case, it's a podcast episode with someone like James Altucher, for instance. Like we do that all the time. And the idea there is we're going to kind of entice them in with this new content from someone they love and trust. So that's one way. We do a lot of retargeting. Of course, that's like, I'd say everybody should be doing that. That's kind of like a cleanup crew. We kind of call it is like, on Facebook, if someone lands on our website or interacts with any of our content on Facebook from our page, we can retarget those folks and show them relevant ads at a pretty good rate. And Google ads. So we do a lot of search ads as well. And that's, we do a lot of branded type search. We definitely do it for our own products. And then we kind of figure out what are related keywords that around maybe a very specific thing they're looking for. So it's very, it's very intentional, all these searches that people will make for, say, a product name or it could be some kind of offer you're promoting. This is kind of like how we do it. So we go brand, very close to and tight to that brand, and then figure out with some of the strategies we use to figure out what are other people searching for around that brand. And those are things like exact matches, broad matches, and there's one more I'm missing. But the idea there is you're kind of leveraging Google to give you the data. You're paying for it, but you're not paying a lot. And then from there, you kind of dial in, figure out what to really target with an ad, and then you can build content around that ad. So it's kind of like this congruent journey for people. So we're doing that on Google. We're doing that on Facebook on that side. We're also doing Twitter ads. They're very cheap right now. So Twitter ads are cool. YouTube, we do a little bit, not a lot, but I would say those are like the three main buckets right there.
And I mean, with the ads, a big part of it is what keywords you pick. If you're paying more money for a keyword that's very targeted, that's going to be one way you're getting in front of buyers. So sometimes it is better to pay that higher CPC if it is the better keyword. And retargeting, that's something I have to work on, but I do know that, if you're on Facebook, just from a viewing standpoint, you see the same ads from the same people over and over again. That's retargeting a full display. I do have to ask you about Twitter ads, though, because everyone talks about Google and Facebook. And we'll keep this on the down low for Side Hustle Paradise attendees. These are all sessions getting locked up soon unless you have the lifetime pass. So nice. What does the Twitter ads look like so far?
So the Twitter, and this is a little newer on my side of thing. Matt's been experimenting for a while, but you can target, and I might get some of the details wrong, but you can look this up. And basically the idea is you have a lot of targeting on Twitter. So you can target a lot of the influencers on there, someone with a sizable audience, and essentially run ads kind of like you would on Facebook, where you can perpetually be in that platform. And it's very inexpensive from what we've found so far. I think something like 50-cent leads is what Matt last told me last week.
Wow.
Obviously, it's not across the board, but that's
Right.
what we're seeing and we're mainly promoting our own content. So that's, we're targeting people who have been on a podcast or like a similar audience to someone who has been on. So we're always just trying to find relevance with any platform we're in. And the key is, and the reason why we do kind of extend to other platforms like Twitter, we experiment with Quora as well. They have a paid element and obviously a free element as well. The idea is like everyone's kind of living in different buckets and there's different intentions on each platform. So if we can show up there and it's very inexpensive and it's targeted and you can automate this, now it's just kind of optimizing, then your brand will grow. This is kind of how we build our platform, that first B, or actually that's really the authority, but building, off of the content from step one, the A, authority, is really doing a lot of this because people now see us kind of everywhere and they're like, oh, I guess I should trust those guys. We bring them in, and then there's, of course, monetizing phase over there.
50-cent leads through Twitter advertising. I know exactly what I have to be doing after this session. But one thing I do want to get into is with the affiliate side. I mean, part of it is finding the offer. You do some Googling in your space. You find different softwares and stuff that gives you a high commission, Amazon associates, worst case scenario. But there are different ways to find some of the different options out there that best work for you, even if it's products that, you like and you use. But how do we go from this person is a new lead, this person's figuring us out, to presenting the affiliate offer?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I think a lot of people like to just jump straight to the sale from an ad. And that's a quick way to burn a lot of cash. And you might make some sales if it's like a very in-demand thing and very targeted. Sure, you might get away with it a little bit here and there, but for the ads that we've been running, there's some products we've been running the same, not same exact ads, but pretty much for about 4 or 5 years. And we can do that because we have a bigger system, a bigger content outlay, and a journey. I kind of mentioned the journey earlier. We're always syncing up first touch with the next touch that they should expect. And so we're talking like same headline, same kind of imagery on something like a blog post. Typically we send to content, totally free content. It could be a blog post. It could be like an advertorial type thing where it's a little bit more salesy. Definitely we want to be, or it could be a podcast. You always want to be able to retarget those folks. So have a pixel on that page so you can retarget on Facebook, Google, and I think even Twitter you can retarget on as well. And have an email capture as well. So some way that you could start capturing this audience in your own buckets that you've defined. So we like to pixel everyone. We like to email capture, push notifications. So those are usually on the page somewhere. Mini chat, messenger bots is sometimes in there, not as much now. And from there, really the idea is capture them. And if they're not captured on one of these things we can follow up with something we control, then we rely on retargeting, and that's where it's automation in terms of follow-ups on Facebook, on Google, on Twitter, I believe, but basically now we're constantly figuring out how to stay in front of folks. We might not have as much control with retargeting, but at least, it's that whole repetition thing. The more they see us, the more they trust us, and we might finally show them an ad that's relevant. And we don't like to do a lot of duplicate, like the frequency is high on an ad because you mentioned if you see the same ad a lot, it's typically retargeting. That's typically true. The media buyers or whoever is running those ads really should put more creatives out there. So it mixes it up. And because the whole ad, if you see an ad so many times, you're just going to be blind to it. And it's obviously not working. So key there is rotate a bunch of ad creatives and you don't want that frequency too high.
Yeah,
but I would say that's kind of the flow. And then of course in your follow-ups, that's really where we do our selling is once we have them captured. So
I mean, that's a great point. You want to start with building the relationship and then you present a follow up. If you rush into the sale, it's not going to happen. And I've seen the ads. You mentioned the blindness to an ad. And I see that with myself when it's like, go watch our free webinar, which leads into a $2,000 training course. Like, I know that type of marketing. So I'm just conditioned to be used to it, not really like rush into the webinar, especially when I'm seeing the same person 30 times. So
Yeah.
that's just one of the elements if you don't want to have that effect on people where they see the same ad and they just become blind to it. Now, I do want to talk more about how you get people on your email list, because I know you
Mhm.
do ads, I know you do free content, and those are going to be like, primary strategies for getting people on your list. But how do you have that engaged list that is attentive to your content? Because you've got a really, not just a big tribe, but a truly engaged tribe with your work.
Yeah, yeah, and we used to have a much larger list, like 100,000 plus. Now we're literally maybe around the 20,000, email list size, and it's not all about the size. It's definitely the quality and the relationship you have with your list. I mean, and same with downloads on a podcast. I'm sure you can relate. Like there's a lot of small shows that can really make some big results for in terms of selling a product or selling out an event. I think our mutual buddy Steve Olsher has even said that he can fill an event with, a show, his numbers, but like I think it was around like 500 downloads an episode or something like that, and he can fill a whole, big event. And I'm like, so you can do a lot with a little, which is really cool, as long as that relationship is there, as long as they know you're doing right by them. So that's our approach. Is honestly, we email almost sometimes twice a day. And it sounds like a lot. Think about it. I mean, if you were to send someone full of value, they're not like pitch thing. There's opportunities for people to buy, but it's always wrapped up in a lesson. There's always a nugget and something that someone's going to be able to actionably do, a strategy that we present. And typically our way is give them something really good they should think about, a perspective change or some really good strategy, and put in there some opportunity or way they can maybe speed it up or optimize that with this software tool, like a product that we as an affiliate, a training course, a book. It could just be a podcast or free content as well. Could be our membership because we have a recurring membership on the back end. That's kind of our approach, is always wrap in these nuggets of wisdom, either from us or from folks on our show. I mean, like, we have endless amounts of things that we can pull from a podcast episode and then make it into an email or make it into a Facebook ad or a Facebook group message. Like, these are all things you can repurpose once you create that content once. So that's really where we're always thinking.
And it's really smart to take that list of 100,000 plus and trim it down to 20,000. I think everyone wishes they had that problem, but it highlights something very important that people don't think about. People would think, like, you have the 100,000 people, why not email them? But if 80,000 of them aren't engaged, there's a whole, like, it blinds you from the other 20,000. But we're talking about thousands of extra dollars each month to have those people on your list. And that's something a lot of people forget about. So for my list, I mean, I'm cutting people off the list all the time who aren't engaging with the content. And it's the difference of saving like $50 a month.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about Joe's numbers, that's thousands of extra dollars each month he could be putting into ads. I mean,
That's
think about strapping that money to an inactive list, and just instead less money strapped into the list, but it's a fully active list. That's why, for everyone wondering, you do want to trim down your list.
Definitely. Yeah. Do it often. I think it's like every 60 days or so is what we do. And there's services to do it very simply. And of course, you can always re-engage, but yeah, trim the list. It's going to save you money, and it's also going to increase your engagement typically as well. And I think frequency of mailing also increases engagement in a weird way. You would think it'd be like the other way around, like, this guy's emailing me too much. But to be honest, we only email that much because people asked for it. So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got 2 homework assignments now: the Twitter ads and the trimming. I trimmed my list. I've done it. It's just been a few months since I've last done it, so I'm due. So
Yeah.
I will be doing that very shortly. For people who want more actionable insights, I definitely recommend Evergreen Profits. But is there any other
Thank you.
place we go to keep following your working journey?
Appreciate it, man. Yeah, Hustle and Flowchart, the podcast. You could find that at Evergreen Profits. And if you want to join our free Facebook group, there's no strings attached. It's literally just a community, like 1,000 people in there now. It's just flowchartgroup.com, and we'll get you.
We'll have all those links down below. Joe, thank you so much for joining us on Side Hustle Paradise. It was a pleasure to have you here today.
Thanks, Mark.